absolutely love this conversation we just had with Sherry Thacker, one of our GoBundance Women members. She is a women's health powerhouse. She is author of Your Health is Non-Negotiable, COO of Clear Cardio, where she's helping disrupt the medical industry and detect and reverse heart disease before it strikes. She has over 20 years in fitness, nutrition, and preventative health. She's worked with thousands of women to help them reclaim their energy, protect their hearts, and age vibrantly. She's now partnering with one of the world's most accomplished cardiologists, and she is on a mission to eradicate heart disease and make the second half of life stronger than the first. Let's see Sherry Thacker.
Welcome, everyone, to the Power Up Your Life podcast. I'm Kelly Resendez.
And I'm Mandy McAllister.
And we are so excited to have Sherry Thacker here today. She has been a friend of mine forever, meeting her in mastermind communities and really working with her on some health things. And now she is one of the top leaders over at Clear Cardio. And I'm just so excited to dig in today and see what she's been up to. But before we do that, I would love to hear just a little bit of your background, Sherry, so that the audience knows what an expert we've got on the line here with us today.
Oh, thank you guys. Well, thanks for having me. I'm very excited to be with you guys. We've known each other for a while now, so this is a lot of fun for me. I've been an entrepreneur my entire life, and I've always been very scrappy. So been a hustler when it comes to just learning the skills and figuring out how to do things, even when I didn't know how. So just, fast forward to 2009. Is when I became a personal trainer, massage therapist, nutritionist. Before then, I had retail stores, I had rental companies, I had all sorts of things going on. But the game changer for me was going online in 2016 when I realized, just how to break out of the borders of a brick and mortar and go online and really get a larger audience. And I did go through 4 years of learning the hard way of selling at a very low price at a high volume, which learning very quickly that's not sustainable. And when I pivoted from a high ticket offer and then serving less people at a higher price, life changed entirely for me. So I've been involved with all of the programs from Alex Hormozi's Gin Launch, Tanner Chittister, Ryan Dice, Russ Rufino. I mean, the list is very long, $300,000 later of online education on how to build, high ticket coaching programs, how to build the offers, how to sell them, how to market them, bring the leads in, convert them, all the things. And then of course the scalability on the back end on how to really grow the offer. And in doing that, I met my co-founder at Clear Cardio. And for the last 16, 18 months now, we've been building a really awesome company that is saving lives, which is now bringing that mission full circle from personal training back into the health space. And that's where we are now, building an epic new disrupting company.
I love it, which is awesome because I think for some of us out here in the field, we do get a little confused when there's so many high ticket items that are out there and they make all their money off of helping other people, scale their businesses or whatnot. And so you made this pivot back into business. Like, what would you say, like your overarching purpose, because you always known how to make a lot of money. Like you've been successful since I've known you, but like this deeper mission for you. Tell me a little bit about how you made that decision to leave the high ticket sales coaching arena and really just commit to this Clear Cardio.
Yeah, there was multiple reasons for the pivot. On a personal level, I found a lot of new opportunity. As I say, I always welcome the opportunity to learn and develop new skills. And our co-founder is extremely successful. I'm going to say in the B word, he's a billionaire and has grown and scaled multiple businesses into the hundreds of millions. And his last business did exit at a billion. So I saw a great opportunity to learn and to grow something really magnanimous from the ground up. So from a personal level, that was a true passion of mine to take that on. And from a mission-driven um, opportunity, I'll be honest with you, it took me a while to understand the risk of heart attack and how at risk we all are. Because even as a personal trainer, as a nutritionist, I'd never heard of plaque. I never thought of heart attacks. I never dreamt my clients would, you have a defibrillator available, sure, but you're not really thinking, oh my God, am I going to have someone here who has a heart attack with me?
Mm-hmm.
And so it did take me quite a few months to truly understand, as a Canadian working within a US medical system, whoa, the system is so broken. It's so corrupt. People are unaware. And, with heart disease being the number one killer in the United States, close on 800,000 deaths every single year. Why is it that we all know to have a colonoscopy, which respectfully is, 40,000 deaths a year, when 800,000 deaths are happening with heart disease? I couldn't wrap my head around, how is this happening? So that became, over the course of the year, something that really grew inside me, just on a whole new passionate level.
Mm.
Information is truly power. And I've worked in medical adjacent stuff in the industry of medicine for the bulk of my career. So I could not agree with you more that we're broken. So what a cool thing that you're doing to provide information directly to people who want to advocate for their own health, because at the end of the day, you are your biggest advocate, so big kudos there. I love everything that you're doing and everything Clear Cardio stands for. The thing I admire most about you, Sherry, I don't know if I've ever said this out loud to you, but the thing that I admire most is your ability to just go directly into something and then go a mile deep. Your focus and your ability to just execute on the thing that you're doing is so incredibly admirable. So I'm wondering if you'll talk to somebody who has shiny penny syndrome like me. What happens? How do you decide what one thing to give focus to? Because if you feel stuck and you need a pivot, you took a pretty sizable pivot, right? How
Mhm.
did you know? What conversations did you have with yourself to make that pivot and go a mile deep versus shiny penny your way into 100 things?
I love that question. We all get trapped in it so often. It's so easy, especially with so many ads and things coming at us at a mile a minute. And it's very easy for us to think, oh no. Not everyone's going to like this answer, but I know as entrepreneurs are going to appreciate the answer. And it's always, money first. And if we're going to invest our time in that singular focus every day, week, month, year, what brings in the money? What is the most actionable items that I could do right now that's either going to create a sales call or a sales opportunity, that's going to drive traffic to the opportunity, that's going to allow me to bring money into the bank? And as we're solo entrepreneurs or people who are in smaller groups, our time is often spent on that shiny object of, creating the lead magnet or creating, the video or creating this or that. And often these things can be created while the sales are happening. If you don't have sales, well, you go 6 months sometimes, and then the anxiety, builds up because you're acting out of fear, and you're acting out of, that deer in a headlights syndrome, where sometimes you wake up in the morning, you don't even know where to start because you're like, oh, what do I gotta get money. So I like to focus on anything that I'm doing. I know at the end of the day, there's a sales call at the end of whatever project I'm working on.
Absolutely love that. Sherry, one of the areas that you've really helped a lot of our members in GoBundance Women, we are always trying to add value, and we have a lot of experts like yourself because it is a mastermind community, right? Is you've really helped them refine how to meet with people when they're in that. And it's like I came away and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I absolutely, number one, I'm building rapport for too long. That's my number one thing that I realized. Number two, I find myself coaching like crazy when I'm talking to somebody that I'm trying to do business with. Just give us just a smidge of strategy for anybody out there that's developing business, trying to create revenue, sales, etc., on kind of the angle that you've taken to be able to create this massive amount of success.
I love that question because it serves us in every aspect of our life, because every conversation that we have is a sales conversation in some form, whether we're talking to our kids or to our partners or whomever. There isn't an exchange of sales going on, convincing someone, let's go to this movie instead of that movie, etc. So when I learned high ticket sales, I realized, how strategic you could be for the power of good. And so some
Mm,
people may say, oh, this is manipulation, or why you're trying to take advantage of someone. Actually, not at all. Is that often the best way to coach someone on a sales call is by asking just the right questions that are going to lead them to understand that, is this the right opportunity for me or isn't? And
Yeah.
generally, if you're doing your marketing right, you are attracting those people who need you because your marketing was like that magnet that brought them in.
Yep.
Therefore, if marketing's dialed in, 9 out of 10, you're talking to someone that you know that you can help. And now, from a sales perspective, whether that be through a webinar or on stage or on a one-to-one call, every single line matters. Every question that you ask, every pause in your
mm,
sentence that you take, every speeding up of a sentence or slowing it down, hand gestures, especially when you're on Zoom or in front of an audience, everything matters. And so at sales, even if it comes to negotiating, a new mortgage, or that, you're buying an investment property, understanding high ticket sales and those skills will net you so much in return. And then, even when I'm using it with my employees, I've learned how to leverage these skills in communication with dealing with everyday in and out problems. So going back to the coaching, until they're actually paying money for your services, I've learned the hard way through 3,000 sales calls. The moment you coach on a sales call, what ends up happening is they've done one of two things. You've either given them so much to go with, and now they're going to try it on their own because they're taking your advice, or they don't resonate with your advice, and now they've already said, no, she's not the person for me. So either way, it doesn't serve anybody. The best way to coach, best way to get through a sales call, ask very, very strategic questions that allows you to navigate through that conversation to get to where you want to be, which is to be able to pitch your offer. And then if you've done a great job, there's no objections at the end.
I love it. Why don't you just share a little bit on the Clear Cardio? So that in that way, like, give us an example of what you would really do with Clear Cardio, because you know how passionate I am about health and
Yeah.
prevention. I don't trust anyone else with my health. I do my own research. I'm very intentional about working with companies like Clear Cardio to ensure that I am, really focused on longevity. But give us a little smidge on that.
I love that. From the sales perspective, it took me a year to figure out how to sell the Clear Cardio package for a variety of reasons. Understanding your product first and foremost is absolutely mandatory. And it took me a while, in many conversations with Dr. Osborne, in conversations with different patients, in hearing history about, what people were going through, learning about insurance. And this took a while for me to gather all this information to truly understand the product that I am promoting, which, the moment you understand your product and now you're an advocate for it, and now you are passionately an advocate for it, that's it. Unless you have that, you shouldn't be selling or promoting whatever you're trying to do. And so as it stands with Clear Cardio, it really took me a long time to understand that. It took me to understand, how to get past the typical insurance. If insurance doesn't do this, I can't do it, right? And just helping people to get out of that framework. And through many, many scripts and lots of watching and rewatching of sales calls, and watching people react to certain things that I say. And then, of course, gathering as much information that you can that allows you to be passionately involved in conveying the information that will help to save somebody's life. So as it relates to Clear Cardio, what I didn't know about before, which I found out probably in the last 3 or 4 months after doing some research, is that out of 33,000 cardiologists in the United States, there's only there's less than 100 that are a cardiologist and also a lipidologist, which just blew my mind. Because if a cardiologist is on the face of the earth to stop heart attacks and strokes, but they don't have the expertise around the lipids, the plaques, the cholesterols that actually make heart attacks happen, that was astounding. And then on top of that, out of 33,000 cardiologists, less than 200 are board certified in hypertension. And when you put all that together in one doctor, less than 50 cardiologists out of 33,000 are triple board certified cardiologists, lipidologists, and hypertension. And I can go on with Dr. Osborne's credentials because there's so much more to that. But, that alone was shocking. And I didn't know that. So how could my patients or potential customers know that? And to me, that's really for us, which makes Clear Cardio very, very different. When you're an advocate for your health, I say there are two really important questions that you need to know when asking any doctor you're about to work with. First is, what is the data that is being analyzed? What are the tests that you're going to do on me that you're going to base a decision on, which could potentially have me taking medications, having me going under the knife, or doing whatever you're going to suggest to me? I want to know what those tests are, and I want to understand what they're actually pulling for you in the way of data. And second, who's making this analysis? Because every doctor has their own motivations, their own bias, their own restrictions in their own education, their own golden handcuffs as it relates to private equity or big hospitals or insurance. So when they're about to read my data, what are they using as a way of analysis? So all of these things, I don't want to ramble on forever, but there you can see already the passion that I have for what we do.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're having worked the bulk of my career in medicine too. Like, the doctors learn more and more about less and less. So you are so incredibly on point that this crossover, and that there's only 50 guys in the whole USA that are triple board certified in these three things. So I think, providing that information is so incredibly important. How would someone who's interested in having these scores and these plaque tracking things that Clear Cardio does, how would they use that data? How are they taking it to their doctors? Really kind of, rubber meet the road. How are they using that data now?
Well, what's really interesting is that we are really on the ground level. This is, the type of machine that we use. There's only 8 of them in the United States. And so there are a few, let's say 100 cardiologists that might use the type of tests that we use, but they're not using the technology to extract that test. So let's say they have this AI report. They didn't get it from the best imaging machine as a starter. And then because they're not lipidologists or involved in or board certified in hypertension, they also don't know how to accurately read those results. So it's really at the ground level right now for being able to get the highest level of technology that we're using with only 8 in the United States. So Texas is where we are at and located. And there's really a limited amount of professionals that have the level of credentials that Dr. Osborne has. So, for example, when you go for some of these full imaging scans that are often done with an MRI, it's trendy right now. It's all over TikTok. It's, people are talking about it and they're saying, hey, this sounds like a good idea. I'm going to get a full image of my body, and they're going to look for stuff. Well, those scans look for some things. They can't find everything, which what our technology can do. So what happens is that sometimes the patients are sent home with a false sense of security and a false sense of trust because they've been told that things are fine, and they may not be, unfortunately.
No, that's great. One thing, Sherry, my role at Minerva, we partner with Clear Cardio because we really are focused on hormonal health, thyroid health, gut microbiome health. But when we get to this level of sophistication, when it comes to your heart, we definitely are appreciative of the partnership there. We have a lot of female listeners today, and I just don't, we hear about men having heart attacks all the time, but so many women don't realize the risk of heart disease in women. Share just a little bit of that for us so that the listeners can understand why. I mean, we're running companies. If we aren't alive, like what good is all of this for?
That's it. It's heart disease is still the number one killer in females as well, in women. And it was funny because that's what I asked Mandy earlier before we jumped on the podcast. I said, I bet you when you woke up this morning, you weren't wondering if you're going to have a heart attack today. And that goes for all of us. The problem is that, plaque growth, accumulation, plaque that builds up around the arterial membrane, largely genetic. Certainly lifestyle plays a major role, but where women specifically are under a false assumption is, I work out, I eat healthy, I have salads, I'm a vegan, I run Spartan races, I'm thin, my skin looks great. They believe that, they're healthy, and they could very well be. But plaque is genetic, largely, not entirely. And so what happens is it's like it grows over time. And I won't get into the whole thing now. We can talk another time about all of it. But there's no symptoms. There's no warning signs. There's no indication whatsoever. You don't feel dizzy. You don't feel lighthearted. You don't feel low energy. You could be riding a jet ski or reading a book in the library, and plaque can rupture, causing that heart attack or stroke. And I've seen kids giving their valedictorian speech having a heart attack and dying. I've seen women 33 years old out on a blind date, had a heart attack at the table. It can happen at any age. Is it more likely to happen over the age of 50? Absolutely. So at 50, just like a colonoscopy, just like a mammogram, get tested for the plaque in your body to see what's going on in your arteries.
Amazing.
Yeah, I totally all of the passion there, Sherry. I absolutely love it. You've said a lot of things that have resonated a lot with me here. And, a couple of them are, what can I do right now? What is the most actionable item that I can do right now? I'm gonna take that home with me, and I'm gonna really focus in on that. And for the power of good. Having spent the bulk of my career in sales, it's what can I get so fully behind that I have now hugged 7 people who are alive because of this thing that I touched. Like that, if that doesn't get you out of bed, I don't know what does. So find something big to stand behind. Kelly, what hit you?
I mean, besides, everyone needs to go use Clear Cardio and start preventing this disease that so many people are dying from unnecessarily. I would say the obsession that you have with your product and the way in which you present it to the audience is amazing. Like you said, it's taken a long time to really perfect what it is that you do. And I just love that level of focus. So Sherry, one of the things that we love to do here on the Power Up Your Life podcast is to really make sure that we make a connection, resource, or support you and your business in any way. So are there any things that would really change the ball game for you over at Clear Cardio, or just share with the audience how they can get a hold of you?
Great. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that. First and foremost, as I said before, we're looking to educate because just the public does not understand. They don't know. They're going to doctor's office for EKGs and echocardiograms and tests that are giving them false information. So we need to educate. So if you have a podcast, if you have a stage, if you have an event where we can get in front of multiple people at one time and educate, that is first and foremost how you could help Clear Cardio. You could go to clearcardio.com. I've literally taken exactly the most important information that you need to know, and I've put it all down there on our homepage. And from there, you could book a call and we could go over what those details look like, see if that's appropriate for you. So Clear Cardio is the best. Clearcardio.com is the best place to reach me.
I love it. I love it. Well, Sherry, you have been an amazing guest today on the Power Up Your Life podcast. And for those of you, just as a reminder, head over to GoBundanceWomen.com. Sherry's been a member for many, many years, was there with me in the very beginning. So we're super grateful for that. You can also go to Power Up Your Life Now, see all of the amazing resources that we have for you on growing your business and really being able to take it to the next level. And of course, we always want to help you just scale it without sacrifice. And that's the type of conversation. So if this is an episode that you want somebody to hear, share it. Leave us a review, get it out there into the world, because I think the more people that hear this message, the more lives we can really just save by being more thoughtful about prevention. So thanks again, Sherry, for joining us on the Power Up Your Life podcast. See you next time.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.